just got back from work. I'm knackered. Day in London and day in Cambridge and then back up to Manchester. I'm too old for this. But things have been happening. I've not posted for a bit, so I thought I'd best do an update. This is the second one. I did one last week, but I was very, very drunk as normal and I didn't like it, so I never posted it. What have I got to show you? Firstly, the ceiling. It's white. I've been painting. It's got metal paint on the metal bits and emulsion on the other bits. It needs another coat of metal paint on the steels down that end. Those couple are done. They come up alright. And then another coat of emulsion over the whole thing. And then we'll wait for the rain and see if it pours in everywhere. I cut up the old workbench and made a cupboard so we can still play darts. Do me like my special lock with some heavy duty shelving. Didn't have any hinges for that, so I just stuck it on a nail. Works as a door, so I'm quite happy with that. We can still play darts when we feel like it. Mind you, anybody that lobs a dart can't, because you lick the steels up there, because it's not that tall. Not done anything on the bike because I was getting frustrated. The reason I was getting frustrated because I can't guarantee that bits like this are in exactly the same position when I get a donor bike. I've got something outside. Look at that. What a beautiful bike. Isn't that pretty? And then look at that. Isn't that ugly? Yes, I've got one. I loaded it home yesterday. It runs, it's taxed, it's MOT'd. Not yesterday, Sunday. Yeah, it's Tuesday evening now. It's got everything I need. It's got a couple of tyres that are usable. Though this one seems to have some crud marks, like it's been out in the weather and stood. Which is strange because it was until 2 weeks ago it was doing about 40 miles, 30 miles a day just as a commuter, and it has been doing that for the last 2 years. The guy obviously liked putting lots of oil on. Look at the state of that. Maybe because he's adjusted the chain so far back and it won't go any further, and it slaps about like a good one. Didn't even take a link out, which I would have done. Now I can't tell, I don't know if these wheels are the originals. They're the type I like, the dark one. You can't see it on that, you can see it on that one over there, the grey sort of gunmetal-y colour. I quite like that colour. I believe under all this crud that one's the same. At least it's all been protected by having that much oil. Frame's been painted, but what do I care? So has the tank and the side panels and everything's been painted. Not bothered. That's all going back onto eBay. No lower fairing, so I won't get much for the fairing. But hey, that's alright. The engine runs well. I banged it up here on the motorway. And let's say, I'm pretty sure it does 85 without any issues whatsoever. It's only got a tiny bit of gravel dash. I'll polish out. The other side, the plastic insert bit's been snapped, but there's no gravel dash. Apparently he lent it against a fence post and it buggered that up, but that's only an insert. Not too worried. Front brake works well, back brake is abysmal, but looking at it, it looks to have some pad. I think it's probably half seized, but all that comes out. But once I've got all this garbage off, all this horrible plastic, I can start measuring up. I think it might even, just by the look of that, because this guy obviously didn't clean it, they might be stainless downpipes, you know. Unless they were replaced fairly recently, but I'd expect a lot more rust than that. And they've got that sort of yellowy goldy patina going on, as though they're just old stainless jobs. And there's no bridge pipe, which is good because for customisation it means I can just chop them here, splay them apart, because they're going to run flat, so you can get at the oil filter cover. Yeah, and I'll sell that Nexus. It's old and rusty, but I'll give it a polish and get it on eBay. Hopefully I'll get roughly half what I paid for it back. I think the fella that advertised it in the wrong section, as in not in any section at all, and I found it because I'm dogged like that, and I just looked for GS500 uncategorised, and after about 6 pages this popped up. Nobody else bid on it, so I got it for his minimum, 400 quid, which was my absolute limit budget wise for the donor bike. I mean, it's taxed, it's MOT'd, taxed till December, end of December. Might even get some money back on that because it's 3 months on it. It's got an MOT till sometime next year. Let's see if it starts, unless he'd just charged the battery up. Bit of choke. No nasty rattles, and it goes alright, so I'm pretty pleased with that. Right, I'm gonna get the spanners out. Speak to you soon. Ride safe. I'm back to normal now. I'm absolutely knackered, but I'm a very happy bunny. Well, I've had a beer. Not many, just I've been doing the last hour or two stripping this bike down, so I'll show you where I'm at. Here we go. It looks like a bag of scrap now that all the fairing stuff is off, but all that lot's going on eBay. It's all saleable. It's alright actually, all the tags are in place. There's a few cracks, but you can plastic weld them with a soldering iron, but they're only small. The light unit all works, the bracketry all works. I've been taking it off places like here. The whole engine and everything, I've zapped it with WD, which is the big puddle on the floor, just to start degreasing the thing, because it's absolutely filthy, as a fully faired bike normally is, but in a way that's quite good because it protects it from the coating. Just sits there on top of the paint, and it actually protects it from corrosion in a way. I think this is genuine. I mean, it's what, 37,500 miles, and I think it might be genuine. I don't think that engine's been out. These frames, when they went to this faux, well, modern day, it's all aluminium in it, but this is steel, and they rusted like anything. They were dreadful, which is why it's all been repainted everywhere. But the bits I want, right here, that swing arm, there's no pitting on that. It's been repainted with metal paint, and then buckets of oil off the chain, because they've fully lubed it. I think that, and I want the swing arm. I don't want this. I don't care that all this is grotty. I'm trying to get big chunks off like this. This has never been out, the battery compartment, and there's things like the screws there. Stupid idea. It's a screw that fits, it's a hex, not a hex, a star drive from underneath, right in the path of all the muck, so obviously it's seized. So's this one with the control box on it, and I want to get the loom out in one chunk. So I thought, oh right, well, how do I do this? Do I need this battery compartment? As it happens, no, I don't. It's really flimsy rubbish, whereas the original one off the 450, oh, there's a nicer mounting, thicker metal, better condition, and will do the job. and it's more in keeping with what I want to do. So I'm going to take an angle grinder to that and get this whole rear section off. I've undone all the bolts and everything. It's these stupid little screws. You can see the rust on those too. I mean, I might be able to get those out, but it's this one. Can't get it off. And I don't know whether that's worth anything. I can sell the rear light, the indicators, all that sort of stuff. But what I've been doing is taking all the connectors off. That's for your rear brake, the fluid reservoir. I want to get all of this off in one piece with the loom, so it makes it easier in the future when I have to rejig everything. I need to take these off. Unfortunately, those two are on engine mounts, and like I say, I've blatted everything. Probably best coming this side, the light's going now. I've blatted all of this and these bolts and the engine mounting bolts. Legendarily, these things seize here because it's light in the weather, and there's a metal spacer to those nuts. If they've never been out, I might have to chop them out and have this, what do they call it, because it's through an aluminium socket, it might have to be sparky loaded to get it out. But luckily it's not been out by the looks of it, because quite often you see this is fractured, and on this one it's good. Tiny bit of a glaze there, nothing much, but I've actually got one of these with no glazing whatsoever off the 450, and I'm still convinced that the bottom end of this engine is exactly the same. It's only the top end, you count the fins, and I can't see any damage on them. Everything looks good. I've no idea if this is filming correct, because I might be too close for this light level, but we'll see. It has some really horrible features. That's ugly, and actually not much of a brace. But to get the mudguard off, you have to take the wheel out to get to the nuts from underneath there. Horrible design. I'll rejig that. It's not going to be a flat plate anyway. How ugly is that? But the forks, and happen to know it's had new seals at the last MOT, which is about 9 months ago. A tiny pit there, but nothing much. Well used, you can see the shine, but the rest of the fork is all good. That's the advantage of a fairing, I suppose. It keeps the road chips from hitting it, which is what starts a pit, and then it rusts away. The wiring loom hasn't been damaged, even though it had this thing mounted on it. Luckily they just fed those in, the blades and bullets. It's obviously is a GS 500 light unit. It's quite nice. It's got that's your running light. That one is low beam, that one's high beam. But I'll flog that with the rest of the fairing bits over there. If anybody wants one, give me a shout. I can't see that you would, and obviously it's been sprayed a few times, but it's not bad. Nice things. All the lugs, see these? All the lugs that go into the plastic formers are all there. It's lost a tiny bracket under there. Don't know if you can see it, that side, but it just allows that to move. It's not much. This is all good. I don't need any of this. I hate that design, hate that style. I hate these bars, bringing it home and putting my feet up on here. Oh god, awful. But that engine looks good to me. Anyway, I'll switch off. Just an update. There you go. Okay, here we go, last update before I lose the light completely. Took the angle grinder to it. That's where we are. Back end's gone. I don't want to take the airbox off just yet, or the exhaust, or the carbs, or anything, because I don't know when I'm going to get a chance to work on it next. What I do need to be able to do at some point is measure You see this tube here? I think it's going to be a case of simply working out the triangulation for that compared to the axle, which is there, that one, and welding that in across here. But I need to calculate how much room I've got for the carbs as to whether I do that or whether my other plan, I've got this massive hole that's pretty heavy gauge, and my thought was to put a hook piece down that's inserted in here, and that grabs the rear shock, and that way I've got space this side and this side for the carbs. But I think the carbs end up about here and here and here. They come up, and I'm just going to put little comb filters, air filters on it. I'm not having a big airbox, but until I've got the engine mounted, because obviously if you count these, I think it's this bit, 1, 2, 3 there from the gap, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 there. And this one obviously is taller. You can't actually work out where the gap is. It should be there. 1, 2, 3, but they're finer, so it doesn't compute that way. You can see where the carbs come on this abortion of a thing. So I'll get the airbox out at some point when I've got a day to work on it, probably this weekend. Bent all the bracket for the pipe, but that's because all this is rusted solid. They are quite renowned for being rusty, horrible things. Look at the way the chain was on in there. But that chain is so slack. And this tyre, I spotted before, big split in it. I wonder if they're putting in a tube in it, because it's supposed to be tubeless. But that looks quite major to me. We shall see. Anyway, I've just been having a bit of fun. I might spend a bit more time on it, or I might go in and have some tea, because I'm not really getting anywhere. Just spray a load of WD all over this lot. That all has to come off. I'm hoping that that'll be easier than the ancillary stuff that caused me to chop it. You can see the state of this, how rusty it was, and whoever did it just painted over the dust and painted everything in. It's not very thick, is it? I mean, it's not tube, it's square section, but it's not huge. But hey, I'm just pleased I've got a donor that I can actually start doing something with. Start gauging it all out. Anyway, that's it. Peace out. Ride safe. Bye. Oh yeah, I'm about to go in. I thought I'd show you what I've been doing the last hour. Obviously I didn't want to leave the bike out there. I need to lock the other one down. So I've got it in here. And what I've been looking at is the stem. So I've got all the crap off. This has a normal sort of stem, and then on top of it is this thing that takes the horrible handlebars. So I'm not, I think, going that way. But this, what I needed to be sure about was this. Now that it's the same thread as that, but the stem lengths are different. This one is about ½ an inch shorter, which means I could probably use a spacer if the threads are long enough. If not, what I think I'm going to do is get that stem pressed out of there and into here. I can't swap them because these fork legs are a fair bit wider than those fork legs. They're the early fork legs. You can see it just looking at it. That's quite narrow. In fact, what are they? These are just roughly about 32mm. These about 38. So they're probably thicker walled, heavier, thinner, easier bent, and these will be thinner walled, wider diameter, and therefore stiffer. So I'm going to use these. The other thing was that these tops stick out, and what I think I'm going to do, when all this is reassembled, this sticks on the top of the blank bit, that thing, not this, so it sticks out about 1.5 inches. And the kind of bike I want, it's not a racer. I think I'm going to drop the fork legs down so they reach the limit of this. The other thing I've been looking at, these the moulds there that you can see, and these, there's pairs of them. Where's the other bit? I've been fiddling, obviously. Can't find it, but there's a pair of these. Oh, there's one. Right, so it's a rubber that side, and they're capped in metal. So that piece is metal, as is that piece. And I tried winding them in, it ain't going to work. But if I just drill out the centre core of that, these are off an old Kawasaki, and they will go. So what I'm thinking of doing is reusing these things, which give you a bit of damping, in this. One side, one the other side, clamp them up, the piece of steel in the middle limits it. Without that piece of steel I can use that and spacers and put bolts on the end. Alright, takes the bars out to 1 inch instead of, is it 7/8? Yeah, the other standard. Those are 1 inch. Or I'll put a piece of copper inside there to hold them, and that will get them high enough for it to work. Anyway, enough waffle. This video is going to be pretty long as it is, and I'm absolutely filthy. Got it all over me, one of my good tops. She's not going to like that, but hey, there you go. Alright, night night. Not night night. One last thing. You look out there, well, you can't see anything out there, but it's chucking it down. But no leaks so far. There's no wind, but it has been bucketing down. Maybe we've even fixed the roof. Woohoo! That really is night night.